All right, this video we are going to change the valve cover gasket set. It's kind of a weird set in a 2004 Dodge Neon. Why would we want to change that, or how would we know? Well, for starters, the thing was running like crap. So part of it, the old wires were all cut up here, kind of chafed, like someone had really done a number on them. So we went and replaced these, and that looks good. See how it's dry and everything? We're going to replace the spark plugs today too, as long as we're in there. This one, however, when we look at this, it's just drenched in oil. So way down in there, it's just pooling oil, and that's going to affect how the car runs. It kind of affects everything going on with this type of car. There's a few other cars that have this same type of setup. So I'll start taking it apart. I'm going to have to pull all the wires, take the coil pack off, remove all the vents, and then pull these bolts around. Then we can take it off and I'll show you what the problem is on the inside. Okay, I've loosened all these, and then I'll detach the coil connection, set it aside. Oh yeah, someone else in another video, I think it was my how to troubleshoot a water softener video, they're like, you say set it aside too much or something like that, but you just set it aside so it's not in your way, right? Kind of makes sense. All right, got the coil removed. I pulled these off of the injector bodies, just the electrical connections to give me a little more room to work. Something that's curious is this spark plug tube is sticking out unlike the others. So I've loosened a few of these. I'll go ahead and pull the rest. I pulled this tube. This came around this way. Oops, probably ought to film it. I pulled that out. I should disconnect the negative of the battery, but you know, as long as you don't short something, you're totally fine. I'll pull these other valve cover bolts and we'll take a look, see what's going on with that. All right, with all those bolts loose, you just give this a little tug, a little rock and roll action, and it'll pull right up. Right away, I can see this spark plug tube's coming out. That is not good, but we'll deal with it. That's the whole reason we're doing this. As I pull this, get it up here, and I'll get it out of the way. I don't have anywhere to set it. I'm gonna turn off the phone and find a good spot for it. All right, well, this is gonna be extra fun. Here's the spark plug tube that was protruding, right? And if you look down in there, the spark plugs are nice and dry. That's how they're supposed to look. We're gonna swap those plugs out anyways, but this one, I don't know if you can see that, but that's a spark plug in there. This is supposed to sit right in there. Now, I think I'm just gonna get a little rubber mallet or plastic mallet and tap that into place. You can already see what the problem is gonna be, I expect. When I pull that plug, what's gonna happen? It's gonna drain all that oil into that cylinder, and we're gonna be blowing smoke for a good couple minutes once we start it. That'll just be for kicks and giggles anyways. I don't see a better way. I'm gonna put the tube in with that spark plug that's already in there, tap the tube into place, and then start it, burn off on that plug, and then I'll put the new plug in, because that much oil is not gonna be good for the new spark plugs, just because we care a little, right? Those tubes are all set. I have no idea why that one popped like that. I've never seen that. That's funky. Anyways, So that as that oil gets into the spark plug tube, it's going to jack up the spark plug. It's going to jack up and foul the wire, spark plug wire. So that will cause a misfire. We took this car in to AutoZone, did the OBD2 reading, which they do for free, and it gives you all kinds of information. So initially we just swapped the spark plugs to start because that was a visual problem, we could tell. Spark plug wires. We swapped out the wires and it ran a lot better, but it still had all kinds of problems. When we swapped the wires, this one was super wet with oil. So then we got the valve cover gasket set, and now we see why it's covered with oil. That tube was loose. So much fun. Here is the this is supposed to be kind of pliable rubber. Here's our new set. I'm gonna pound those out, put in these new ones, and then we'll be golden. Little process. I'm on the side of a road here in Hawaii. It's awesome. That's my sweet Prius, the one I went camping in. All right, so here's how I'm tapping that into place. I've got my spark plug socket, goes in inverted, and then I can just tap it gently. I don't have many tools here, so this is how I'm deciding if it's in at the proper depth, and it is. So I've got a cardboard straight edge, which isn't the best, but this one is straight. It's gonna work for us. So I've got that tapped in enough. Now I can pull all those plugs. I'm gonna burn that one out like I said. That went in really nice and easy. Just a few taps with the mallet. Gonna clean this surface here and swap out these gaskets. I'll show you how to do that here in a second. These are the screws that hold the head valve cover on. This is just a little rubber washer. Those are fine, but since we got the kit, I'm just gonna be installing these new ones. Let's see if I can do this single-handed. Oh dear. So that's my leg. I'm balancing my phone on it. Won't focus. There we go. They're rubber. They're easy. They just slip on. And then as you tighten it, that makes another seal around that. We've got 10 of those. That takes care of every one of those. And then I'm gonna pull out this rubber gasket, replace it with the new one, pop these out, and then we'll be set. This is like a windage tray inverted, so I've got to pull that in order to get these others. Nope, sure don't. It's just the floor. Perfect. Okay, because I just have one hand, this is more difficult to film. To get these grommet gaskets out, what I do is I stick a screwdriver initially right in here, and I kind of tap it around the edge just to loosen all the edge. And then you can stick any kind of tool in there and pry, and that'll lift it out. Which direction do you put the new ones in matters. So if you install it this way, it's not going to slide over, right? If you put it with this side down, it seals real nice, just like that. Okay, so make sure you install it like this, and they're pressed to fit. Just be gentle with it. And there you have the new one. Here's the old one. Do that 4 times and you're set with those. All right, let's try this. We've got a flathead screwdriver. Just gonna slide it in there and press on it. Press down on it to see if I can get that gasket to pop. There we go. So that's a much faster way to get them done. There's the junk ones. I'll install the other new ones, and we will be pulling this out next. Clean it up, clean up the surface first, put the new one in, and then put it all back together. All right, to get this gasket out, sometimes these are dry and really hard. This one's still somewhat pliable. If it's dry and hard, well, that's gonna suck for you, but you just jam the flathead screwdriver in there to catch an edge, and you pull it out. Super, super easy. Now clean that up, press the new one in, and this is ready to go back on. All right, this one's ready to go back in. As I press that in, it seems like it could go either way, which it can, but it has this little tab right here on this corner. That tab fits in that dent. And that is how you know if you've got it aligned correctly. Just watch that. Not all gaskets have that, or not all head valve cover gaskets, excuse me, have that. But that's it. Just press that in. Then you gently set this back on, tighten all your valve cover bolts, and you're in business. Okay, so we've got our actual valve cover gasket installed. I'm gonna flip it over right here. It might drip a little bit of oil, doubtful though. And I've got all my new little rubber gaskets installed on these cover bolts. Just want to make sure they're pressed in properly, not pinched. If they got pinched, it could be a leak point. Kind of a cool little setup for these. That's how those go. I'll use both hands now. All right, everything's pressed in where it needs to be. The head is cleaned up well enough. Doesn't have to be perfect. Just the mounting edge is clean, okay? So here, let me get it on wide angle. As I gently push this on, you can see these gaskets seal around the top of where our spark plug tubes are. As I tighten these, it's gonna pull it down even more. You wanna start in the center and work out. So boom, 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 boom. Kind of like this to get that tight. This valve cover doesn't matter as much, and you're not cranking these on to get them super tight. It's just to seal that rubber. Super easy. All right, so I've got it all tightened down. Didn't crank these tight, like hard at all, but you can see how the rubber seal fits around these tubes for the spark plugs. That's the one that's full of oil. It just barely catches the tip right there. That's enough to seal it. Once you put the spark plugs in, the spark plug wires, they actually push way down on that rubber seal as well. So the rubber seal will go down a little further. You don't need to press it down with a tool or anything. Just let it sit there naturally. All right, this is our number one spark plug. Doesn't look too terribly bad, other than that huge gap. That's pretty intense. I lied, that other one was the number 4. This one's the number 1. Let's see if I can get it to focus here. There we go. Not too bad other than the gap. This one is the number 2. Let's see how it looks. Come on now, thing. I gotta stop it to get it to focus. So that one's number 2. Again, not too bad. A little funky burn though. Strange. Okay, it's time for number 3. So initially, there's the number 3, and that is that much oil on it, all the way down. That's a full 3 inches deep of oil. That is gonna be really bad news for that cylinder, but we're just gonna burn it out because it'll work. I decided to do it this way rather than pull the plugs later, because as you pull these out, I'm thinking maybe this was a little tight or a little loose, so when you pull these wires out, maybe it pulled that sleeve up, and that's why we've got that problem. So this one, because there's so much oil going in there, I'm just gonna leave this spark plug out for a bit, turn the motor. But there's our problem plug. So nasty. We'll clean off the tool and put in the other plugs, the wires. We'll fire it up. And I'm just gonna let it start for a second, shut it right off. It'll probably squirt oil out the hole, but there's no easy way to clean that out. All right, so super quick start. You heard it. I let it run for a second. So that's just so I don't hydrolock that cylinder. It blew a bunch of crap out. I can't really clean that efficiently, so what I'm gonna do is take a paper towel rag thing, stuff it down in there, pull it out. That's as good as I can get it. Gonna insert the plug, we'll fire it up. All right, we've got it all put back together. All of our wires are secured. Everything's in place. These have all, when you put these on, you can feel them click, so you know they're tight. Earlier I said I expect it to burn some smoke because we've got all that oil. So just for excitement and kicks and giggles, because it's funny to me, here we go. So there's our oil burning out. She runs like a champ, I'd say, compared to how it was running earlier. It had idle problems and all kinds of things. Next, I'm going to run it out to AutoZone, do that OBD2 test again, and see what codes we come up with next.